Oh, the mercy of God.
Session 4 of Justice, Mercy and Grace. We've been saying that God is completely just, but He's also merciful. That is, He has chosen not to give us what we deserve. And we saw this at the beginning of creation, where Adam and Eve's disobedience deserved death, and yet God chose to give humanity a chance. Today I want to look at the Old Testament system of worship and sacrifice. This whole thing was set up by God, and He gave very detailed instructions to Moses as to how worship was to take place, especially the building of the tabernacle. He told him exactly how it was to be built. The structure was a constant reminder that God was a holy God and that could not be approached by unholy human beings. That's why as the person entered the courtyard of the tabernacle, the first thing they would see was a huge altar for sacrifice, because it was a reminder that you cannot approach a holy God unless your sin is dealt with. Sin deserves death, and God gave us, gave animals as a substitute for the human being. But then there was a Holy of Holies, or a very inner sanctuary, where only the high priest could enter, because this was the very presence of God. And he could only go in there once a year. And when he did, he had to sacrifice for his own sin first, then he had to wash, and he had to be dressed in particular garments, which were very representative of who God is and the priest's role. Rather than destroy humanity, God gave them away to be able to live with a holy God. Now, culmination, of course, came in Jesus. No longer was the death of an animal needed to remind people of the cost of sin. The Son of God became the sacrifice paid for the price of all wrongdoing once and for all. Such is the mercy of God, that He does not want us to pay the due penalty for our sin. He paid it Himself. So how do we respond to this? Can we now just do what we please because Jesus has paid for all our wrongdoing? Do we become like the students that I mentioned in an earlier session, who began to take mercy as, take it for granted or as an entitlement? God gives us mercy so that we have time to repent. The death of Jesus assures us of our forgiveness, but only if we hand up to Him the wrong thing that we have done. If we don't, then we continue to carry it around with us, and we carry the guilt, and we have ourselves separated from God by it. There's a story in John 8 where the Pharisees brought to Jesus a woman who'd been caught in the act of adultery, and they reminded Jesus that the law said that such a woman should be stoned to death. Jesus came to fulfill every part of the law, and so He said, yes, that's right. And then He said, and the one of you who has never done anything wrong has the privilege of throwing the first stone. Of course, they all slunk away one by one. And no one was left. He said to the woman, I don't condemn you, but go, change your ways. Don't do this anymore. His mercy gave her the opportunity to repent and change. God's mercy is great, but its purpose is to help us see our sinfulness and to have the opportunity to change. It's mercy, it's not entitlement.
Oh, the mercy of God, the glory of grace, that He chose to redeem us, to forgive and restore, and You call us Your children, chosen in Him, to be holy and blameless, to the glory of God, to the praise of His glory and grace, to the praise of of His love. In Him is redemption, the forgiveness of sin. You called us as righteous, predestined in Him, for the praise of His glory, included in Christ. To the praise of His glorious grace, to the praise of His glory and power, to Him be all glory, honor and praise, forever and ever and ever. Oh, the glory of grace expressed in His Son, His image and likeness revealed to us all, the plan of the ages completed in Christ, that we be presented perfected in the praise of His glorious grace, to the praise of His glory and power, to Him be all glory, honor and praise, forever and ever and ever. Oh, the mercy of God.